afternoon and welcome to the Daily Ramble here on Claret and Booze. My name's Gary and I've got something to talk to you about, a couple of things to talk about today. Firstly, Nayef Aguerd. I think we've all been pretty much underwhelmed with his performances lately, and I want to dig into that because there's an excellent article by Rashane Thomas on The Athletic, of which I'm a loyal subscriber, that goes into a lot of detail. Because I was thinking, Aguerd, this ain't the first time the guy's let us down. It's the umpteenth time. And that's just from memory. But everything that's in this article is really, really good. I'm just going to go through that. And also there is believe it or not, I'm not going to quote Stan Collymore. Yes, I am. A very interesting proposition from Stan Collymore around what could be a potential player swap deal player plus cash deal for Declan Rice in the summer. So I'm going to touch on that at the end. Anyway, give this video a watch. If you like what you see, please subscribe to the channel Claret and Booze. Give the video a like and hit the bell notification icon. So on with the first story. And Nayef Aguerd, he was last summer's £30 million signing from French side Rennes. He was at fault for both goals yesterday against Brentford. Me and Nick went to it, and I was in a bit of doubt whether the second one was his fault, but when you watch it back, it was. I mean, he let Yoann Wissa run across him to score from the long throw-in. Not the first time we've been caught out by a long throw-in from Brentford. He also gave the ball away before Brian Mbeumo's opener, which was terrible. And it was reminiscent, that mistake was reminiscent of one that he made against Crystal Palace the other week. And David Moyes was not backward in coming forward after the game. He said, at 0-0, we gave away a goal. It was so poor, it took the wind out of our sails. We weren't doing an awful lot wrong, and we were probing them. I mean, look, I disagree with him. We weren't probing them. We were on the back foot. But the thing is, when you're on the back foot against a decent team and you're struggling to keep your heads above water, last thing you want to do is concede a sloppy goal. And then the next last thing you want to do is concede another sloppy goal. And that's exactly what happened. David Moyes said the long throws, we knew about it, and we'd done as much preparation as we could. And we didn't deal well enough for it. And I think, probably Ogbonna takes a little bit of responsibility for the second one as well. But mainly, the main culprit is Nayef Aguerd. I thought we were signing a leader in Nayef Aguerd. But, we didn't know really what he was like. He looked good in the pre-season. He did his ankle, didn't he? And then he was away until just before the World Cup. Then he had a cracking World Cup for Morocco. Came back and he looked like the real deal. He had a good run in the side, and then suddenly, things started going wrong. It's like the Premier League have got this habit of exacerbating the weakness of that a player's got, and they've kind of found out that he plays in this certain way, and that certain way is bringing the ball out of defence, and for want of a better word, being a little bit complacent with what he does with the ball, and I mean. If you go back, by the way, he's second in a chart for April for the number of errors that are that led to a goal. That's not good in the Premier League. And it's not the first time he's made a mistake like this. I mean, let's not forget, if you go back to the 3-1 FA Cup defeat at Manchester United on March the 1st, I was there. He was at fault for all three goals. And again, I'm quoting this article here. Less than a fortnight later, in the 1-1 draw at home against Aston Villa, he was at fault for Ollie Watkins' goal, having lost his marker. In the 5-1 loss to Newcastle at London Stadium, he hesitated after having failed to control Fabianski's pass and was caught in possession by Jacob Murphy, who set up Callum Wilson to score. Jacob Murphy, incidentally, afterwards said, "We pressed high, and I knew that if I got close to Aguerd, I could put him under a bit of pressure so that he could hopefully turn the ball over." Murphy told The Athletic that after the match. Sometimes it doesn't come off, but today it did. Before the game, we knew Aguerd was probably West Ham's best ball-playing defender, so it was all about putting pressure on him. And that's the thing. Teams are now targeting Aguerd. And that's the danger. And I think that's what went wrong. I think, for the first few games, they didn't know him. He's come from another league. They've never played against him before. But then they're very cute. Our opposition in the Premier League, they're very cute. They'll watch a video, they'll analyse every single player, and they'll realise and they'll hone in on the weakness. And I think that's what they've done with Nayef Aguerd. Now, there's only one way out of this with Aguerd, and he's got to change his attitude. And I don't know if it's possible to do it or not. The guy's 27. He's not a junior. He's not a starter. He's 27, and he's an experienced international. So can you teach relatively old dog new tricks? I'm not so sure. I think that's built into him. That complacency is built into him. But I bloody hope he can change it around, because it's not good enough. The way he's doing those mistakes, and usually when he makes a mistake, it leads to another mistake. He loses his head, right? This is not the leader we were supposed to have bought. Incidentally, moving into Thursday, what would you do? I mean, let me know in the comments. Would you stick with Aguerd, knowing that he is capable of absolutely killing us, right? I mean, think back to that cup game away to Man United where we played so well and suddenly the wheels fell off, courtesy of him. Do you really want to risk that happening in a European semi-final? I'm not sure I do. And the thing is, we've got options. We're not without options. We know what we're going to get from Zuma. We're going to get a good, solid, reliable performance. We know what we're going to get from Ogbonna. The same, right? He actually looks like his old self now, Ogbonna. He hasn't really lost any pace or anything. Not that he had a load of it in the first place. But the combination of Zuma and Ogbonna will concede on average 0.8 goals per game. The combination of Zuma and Aguerd will concede on average 1.4 goals per game. And bearing in mind how finely balanced that game is against AZ Alkmaar, I think we need to play this one safe. And my choice would be Ogbonna alongside Zuma. Frankly, for now, let him earn my trust at a later date. As if I'm important. I don't fancy testing out as whether Aguerd can keep his head and not make a mistake and not be complacent in a European semi-final. We might not see another European semi-final for another 30 years, right? So, I definitely do not want. This is not like. Yeah, I had a bit of a go at the keeper last week at Areola because he made a mistake. And perhaps I was a bit too quick to judge there. And it was only one mistake. With Aguerd, it's not one mistake. This is many mistakes. Many mistakes has cost us several games, right? And so I think he's kind of had his chance. Anyway, look, let me know what you're saying, what you think in the comments. Now on to the next thing, which is next item on the agenda, which is to do with Declan Rice in the summer. And as you know, we've put 120 million price tag on him. And that's a bit too rich for the likes of Arsenal, I think. Right? They're not going to pay 120 million. And so people started floating, all right, West Ham want 120 million, but that can be made up out of players plus cash, not just straight cash. And look, I'd be perfectly open to that idea because, surely we'd only accept good players. And if you're dealing with a club like a Chelsea or a Man United or something like that, there are probably some players in there that could do us a fair bit of good. And Stan Collymore, in his article on Caught Offside, he's actually said something sensible for a change, which is, he says that Man United and Chelsea probably have the advantage when you're talking about player plus cash deal, because Man United, Scott McTominay, for instance, might interest us. We let go of Declan Rice, might be interested in him. Now, would McTominay be interested in coming down south, and would Declan Rice be interested in going up north? That's to be decided. But a more interesting idea that Collymore had, and again, he's just picked this out of the sky, but Lukaku, Romelu Lukaku, is currently on loan. He's a Chelsea player. I think they paid 80 million for him, or was it 90? I can't remember. And he's on loan now with Inter, scoring goals for Inter. Inter are playing really well, nearly in the Champions League final. And also Gallagher, Conor Gallagher, who's not had the greatest season with Chelsea, struggled to hold down a place. But we know what he can do from his previous stint at Crystal Palace. He's a decent player. So if you were to add up the current market values of those two, I think Conor Gallagher, he was being touted for 50 million. He ain't 50 million now. is more like 30, 35, right? Lukaku, he ain't 80, 90 million now. He's 30 years old. So, maybe if he was 28, maybe, right? But that's a player who, if you're talking about someone who can play up front on his own, that is Lukaku, right? That is Lukaku. He would work in our system, wouldn't he? So and plus it'd stop him scoring against us if ever he comes back into the Premier League, because he does every time. But anyway, the market rate, my point, of Lukaku at the moment is probably 40 to 45 million. So 40 to 45 million for him, plus Gallagher 35 million. So you're talking about a total of 75 to 80 million in players, plus 40 to 50 million in cash for Declan Rice. Now, to me, that sounds like quite a compelling proposition. What do you think? Would you accept that? I mean, I must admit, I'm pretty tempted. I think Lukaku, age 30, he could serve us really well and deliver some goals for the next 3-4 years, right? I don't think he's particularly injury prone, is he? He's a big lump and he can play on his own. Gallagher's at the start of his career, pretty much, isn't he? And he would, he's not going to be a Declan Rice like for like replacement, but the combination of Gallagher and Paqueta and or Souček and or Downs, the combination of those players might offer us something different. Something different. It wouldn't be Declan Rice, but much something different that would be quite effective. It would definitely bring goals. Gallagher scores goals from midfield as well, as we've seen. So look, anyway, I hope you found that interesting. I found that quite an interesting article. If you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe to the channel Claret and Booze on YouTube. Give it a like, hit the bell notification icon. Don't forget, leave us a comment. Until next time, big week for us this week. See you soon, and come on, your irons.